I was lying in the back seat of the car that was taking me to visit my lover's daughter, wearing a light-colored plaid blanket. I stared blankly at the confident man, clutching the steering wheel with my hands and still feeling the firm grip on my waist. When my daughter convinced me to dress the same way, it all seemed logical. Except her boyfriend looked at me reproachfully. In a way I hadn't been looked at in a long time. And even later, when Sophia was around, I'd catch his frank, appraising glances. I couldn't help it. I was used to male attention. I started teasing him to get even more attention. I began to feel alive and desirable. And I tried to make it look natural and graceful. Not surprisingly, in the evenings, the abstract man in my fantasies began to take on more and more features of the real one. A couple of times I even caught myself envying her and wishing I were in her shoes. My daughter put me in front of the fact that she was taking me to visit her. I wondered how I would live in the same apartment with my daughter and her man. Or would I be able to pretend it never happened? And now I was wondering the same thing. I lay in the back seat of the car and dozed off. I woke up as we were pulling up to the house. My head was clear and fresh, and my body felt light. All thoughts were in the background, displaced by the impressions of the new place. Sophia and I entered the apartment. Her lover was away on business. Her daughter hinted that she had a couple bottles of wine. And soon we were sitting in the hall in soft armchairs with glasses and discussing life. The wine imperceptibly influenced our minds, and the topics of conversation became more and more interesting and lighthearted. Yes, daughter. I envy you. No one has looked at me like that for a long time. I sighed involuntarily. Would you like to receive admiring glances? Imagine him walking in here, both of us in dresses and nothing. That's when we'd see his reaction. If I was sober, I would never say yes. But we'd already had a lot to drink, and my sanity had left me, leaving me wanting to tease the man and show him myself in all my glory. We quickly put on our dresses, turned off the lights, and started discussing how to show up. The man went into the apartment. After a few minutes, Sophia called him and asked him not to turn on the lights so that he could see only our silhouettes. In the first moments, he did not realize what he saw. Moving his gaze to Sophia, he saw exactly the same picture there and quickly left the room. My daughter and I looked at each other, and she followed him. I was alone and didn't know what to do. I think we went a little overboard. Of course, any woman is pleased when a handsome man expresses his admiration for her. And he did make me sympathetic, even quite friendly. But I have to admit, at least to myself, that I wasn't attracted to him as a friend, but as a man. And apparently he was attracted to me as a woman, too. So when he had sex with me this morning, I still had doubts, I asked myself wryly. And I did have doubts. But now that he saw me, I realized he was really attracted to me. Sophia entered the room. She was followed by her man. Having already calmed down, Sophia said cheerfully, "Now let's finish our wine, dance a little and go to bed." Her lover promised to keep her company. Sophia turned on some romantic music, leaving the lights dimmed, pressed herself against her partner and began to move slowly. I had no choice but to sit down and pour myself more wine. Gradually the dancers pressed against each other more and more, and soon the man's hands were visibly moving lower down my dress. The couple parted, and Sophia sank tiredly into a nearby chair. "Mom, it's your turn now," she said. I wanted to decline, but a man came up to me, held out his hand, and said quietly, "Please allow me to ask you to dance." It would have been rude to refuse, and I stood up, ready for the challenge. He placed his hand gently on my back, and I felt like I'd been electrocuted. Memories of him squeezing me before came to mind, and I closed my eyes, remembering the sensation. I put my hands on his shoulders and he began to lead me to the slow music, keeping his distance. I obeyed the man again. Albeit not in the same way as the last time. But this was worse. The slow rhythm of the movements, the romantic music, and the semi-darkness combined with the alcohol slowly took over me. Sensing my condition, he pulled me to him and I inhaled his scent involuntarily. He rested his head on my shoulder, and I realized I had succumbed. He pulled his hands away, moving lower. I remembered that this was all happening in front of my daughter, and I opened one eye to see her reaction. The wine I'd drunk had taken effect. Sophia was sleeping upright in a padded chair and her mother was being cuddled by her man. Coming back to reality and remembering who I was dancing with, I pulled away and looked reproachfully at the man for his girlfriend. He reluctantly released himself from my embrace and walked over to Sophia, lifting her gently and carrying her into the bedroom. I tense up, and the chair sighs heavily. But I have to hold back, because this is my daughter's man. They love each other, and I don't want to ruin their union. So tomorrow I must leave. And now I'm going to my room before disaster strikes. But I had no time. He entered the room and came up to me. All thoughts evaporated from my head. The man realized that he couldn't expect anything from me and started to act on his own. He didn't rush me, and I was getting a high from the fact that everything was about to happen again. This is my man now. The main thing we decided is that I'm his woman. We'll deal with Stalin later. The morning for me began with silence. Silence in my thoughts, silence and peace in my body, silence in the house. After last night I felt good and calm. And yet during the trip I had been in great turmoil, wondering what would happen next. Now I felt that everything was right, everything was as it should be. Even though I had cheated on my husband and my new lover had cheated on my daughter. But I knew everything was going to be okay. If you like the stories on our channel, give it a thumbs up, be sure to subscribe to the channel and put a bell to be the first listeners of another new story. Good luck and come back, it will be interesting.